So I think the planets are aligned because it's 2:00 and 1 minute and we have a display working. We have all the participants here and especially you are here. So I'm really happy. I would like, before starting, to say sorry for my English, because I'm not English speaker, native speaker. I will try to do my best not to kill English grammar. But before starting, I would like to say thank you, a big thank you to France Photobook and Salambo Goudal, the coordinator, and of course the full team behind her and France Photobook working here. After that, a few words about the format of this talk and how the discussion will work. I will introduce each one of the participants' biography, as it is quite important to let you know about their background. Not everyone is someone who has been learning graphic design, for instance, in a school. Some are self-taught graphic designers. Others are working with publisher, but they are artists also. So I think it's really interesting to see that the background can also greatly affect the production and the relationship with the artist. After that, I will continue with a brief list of questions that I'm sure will spark a lot of conversation. I hope so. We also want to leave a lot of time for open question for you, for the audience. So rather to wait until the end, I'm really urging you to think as we go along. The question you want to ask to our set of participants, keep them so we can continue the discussion for more or less half an hour-ish, or even after, either with people who are here with their table, or some others which are from Podesta, which is another book fair that is sitting in the middle of the city. By ways of preparation for this talk, I was going through the books at the TP bookshop in Brussels. And I was thinking about the overall topic I wanted to address here with you. One word was always present for the last 11 years, and especially before coming here to my mind, and this was porosity. Porosity is the ability of a material to transmit fluids. In the context of this talk, the material is the publication, and the fluids are not one, but many, such as time, space, sound, touch, and many more. But without further notice, further ado, please welcome Aneta Kowalczyk, Laure-Anne Kayser, Laure Gilquin, and Yann Linsart. So let me start with Aneta. Aneta is an independent, self-taught photo editor and book designer, permanent collaborator of the Blower Press publishing house, which has a table here. The books she has designed for Blower Press have been awarded with several prizes, including Maribor Photo Book Awards, Tokyo International Photo Awards, Moscow International Photo Awards, International Photography Awards. It's often ending with awards. Grand Press Photo 2018-2019, long-listed for the Krasna Krausz Photography Book Awards in 2022, shortlisted for the Rencontre d'Arles Book Awards, Lucy Photo Book Awards, Photo España, and Prix Bob Karl du Livre d'Artiste recently this year. After that, we have Laure-Anne Kayser, is the graphic designer behind Bureau Kayser, an art director, and the publisher of Area Books, which, do you still have a table here? She doesn't have a table, but you can find her books on her own website or on the best bookshop around. An independent publishing house dedicated in promoting carefully selected contemporary visual artists, but also collaborating not only with visual artists, but also with relevant authors, philosophers, and thinkers. She envisioned Area as a multi-faced territory. Laure-Anne has garnered numerous book nominations, including Aperture Foundation by Paris Photo and Les Rencontres d'Arles Festival, Kassel Best Book of the Year, Nadar Prize with Choses Communes Publishing, and more and more. After that, we have Laure Gilquin, which is a French artist. Her own artistic practice consists of photography, drawings, and installation, in which she uses sound, clay, and glass elements. At the same time, she designed bookcase in limited series for or with photographer, publisher, and galleries, such as Les Éditions de la Main d'Homme, who has a table here, Galerie Vue, Martin Bogren, which I think is in the audience, Gilles Roudière, Thomas Guizolme, and Aline Dipois. Sorry if you are there, I've been killing your names. In her own word, she pays an attention to specific material and craft techniques to create emotionally sensitive objects that resonate the work of the artist. The book she has designed for Martin Bogren has awarded with the following prize: Svenska Fotopriset, Prix du livre photo suédois in 2021. Last but not least, Yann Linsart is a graphic designer and the editor of Palais Books. He graduated from the ENSP here in 2008 as a photographer. He has since produced more than 75 books for various editors such as Filigranes, Actes Sud, The Eye Publishing, before founding the edition Palais Books in 2021. In 2022, the first book he published, Desidera Nuncia, de Smith et Ralph Mage. Diplomat won the book prize photo text at the Rencontre d'Arles. The book he has designed have been awarded or shortlisted in different festivals, including Rencontre, Best Photo Book of 2022, Mankansen. That's the name of the book. Winner of Prix du Livre Phototext in Arles in 2022, Desidera Nuncia, and shortlisted for Luma Dummy Book Award 2022 with Patria. I already want to drink at least a gallon of water. So, the question I have sent to the participant were questions not just rhetorically. They were questions I'm asking myself daily when I'm encountering books, or when I'm working with artists, or when I'm letting artists know that one of these graphic designers would be the best suited for the job, for their stories. Let me start with the first one. And I'm talking to all you, but remember about asking a question after that. How would you define, in one word, the moment when someone out from the creative process is discovering the book you have been working for weeks, months, if not years, with the artist? And can you share with us some of the best and worst of these moments? It's a light question to start with, but we will build up more and more. Who wants to start? Aneta?
Andrea, you didn't make our life easy, I think, with those questions, and because there are so many emotions, but I think the most common is just surprise. And example, last year in art, there was a woman that went through one of the books on our table. It was an object amnesic compost manifesto book, and she said, I don't understand the photography here, and I don't understand also the connection, the photography with the text, with the poetry. And she complained for a long time about it, and but by the end of the day, she came back and bought the book. And another example that was quite moving for me, this was a situation that happened in Shanghai and in Rome. Quite similar, because it was a girl that came to our stand and went through one of the books. It was Deceitful Reverence, and she went very carefully, like page by page, listening to some music, and when she finished, she started to cry. And the same was in Rome. So again, girl went through the books carefully, again, one page by page, and the same reaction. She started to cry. So, and this was my goal, not making people cry, of course, but to make the book so emotional and to make the reader go deep inside the book, that people feel also what the author wanted to say. Example, so it was lately in Warsaw during the book launch. It was a book launch of The World is Where You Stop by Tomasz Tomaszewski. And one photographer that I know went through the book, and she said to me, not bad. And by the table there was also a very known journalist in Poland, writer, traveler, and sportswoman. It was Martyna Wojciechowska, and he said not to me, but to him, not bad, not bad. It's a masterpiece. So this was the bad and good reactions for me.
All right, thank you.
Actually, it's quite the same as book can create emotion in front of your audience. And when you go to art book fairs and you show your book for the first time, it's interesting because you can be touched by all the emotion you can have. It can be just a blink in the eyes, or just a smile, a little rictus or something like that. But it can. I had also some cries, also laugh, or people smiling and just be interested, or just look around, take one page, and just come to your table for 10 times because it's obsessional, and they can't. The book, I think, are stick in their mind. So each time it's in one word, it can be emotion as well. It can be bad or good. I have just one for the bad that I can have. It's just for Koji Kitagawa, which is the second book that we published with Aria. I have a collectioner that I know a little bit that opened the book and say, I don't know why you published this. And I was like, thank you very much. And but it was sold out in 1 month, in 2 months. So we don't care a little bit like.
Okay, so bad comment can also be a positive comment.
It's interesting when you have to have a little step back with what you are doing, so it can be super cool. And the other one, more emotional and touching, it was for like 1 month ago at Paris As Book Fair at Palais de Tokyo, and a girl that organized the festival, the book fair, opened the book of Marikeo Odes and Heads, which is about runes and if human leave the earth, what you can find, which is about runes, more or less. And she's Ukrainian, and she start to cry and say, "Okay, this looks like my hometown right now."
Okay.
And it's a 2 years ago published book, so it was a bit intense to have this. Again, this emotion with this book as well.
Okay.
So in one word, it's emotion.
Emotion again. Okay.
Yeah.
Laure, I'm quite curious to hear Laure, because Laure has a different position towards books, and also facing the audience in a fair, in a book fair, or in a bookshop with book launches, because you are more. Let's say, I hope it is the correct word, behind closed door. You're working closely with the artist or with the publisher, and then you hope to have a feedback based on this intense work, month or years after. So I'm quite curious to hear you.
Yeah, I wanted to say this, that actually I'm not so often in front of the public opening the books, so it's not happening a lot of time, and I don't have like a table where I show the book, because I'm working for a publisher or for artists for making special edition, but I have sometimes those moments too. And for me the word would be apprehension, quite like apnea, a little bit like I stop to breathe and say, oh, what's gonna happen? Are they going to what's gonna happen? I think it's the same thing when I'm presenting my artwork too. And But I really liked one moment. I was Martin Bogren was presenting Metropolia limited edition. This one in Billband bookstore in Berlin, and it's a it's a big book and rolled. You have to roll it out, and then he opened all the pages, and everybody was around the table and with really big silence, and we were just hearing the paper making the sound, turning the pages. And for me that was a really beautiful moment, because it was just quiet and concentrating on what's happening, so that was nice. And the not so nice moment is also when I made also limited edition for Passenger, also for him. And it's a way to fold it back. That's sometimes not so easy, and then people are quite lost on those moments. And I was like, it's a pity, And they just then they are not any, maybe just want to leave it like is it, and cut a little bit with the book, or when the people are moving really thin paper quite in a hurry, and then the things, and I feel like
Yeah.
so
do you think that the audience at some moment can also be participant in the creative reception or process of one of your limited edition? As a the last frontier of people receiving it, and when you see this, do you see this also as the last creative process also? As you are creating something with the artist and the publisher, but also when the audience, in an intimate sphere, can shut down everyone in a public space. I mean, it's also a bit of performance that we are facing with. So right. It's maybe some sort of course, out of the beginning, co-author or co-participant in the creation of the book.
The audience, you mean?
No, the audience. The audience that is just opening the book, just like a scenography.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, on this question, each time that I make a book, I spend, as you said, weeks or months. After that, I have no clue if my job was good or bad. I have absolutely no clue. So I'm very curious on the feedback. It gave me the feedback. Is it good? Is it bad? And after that, we start to discuss. So it's very an important moment, and it's one word is curiosity. I'm very curious about what people should say on my work, and especially on the book that I made as a publisher. We are different than the book when I'm a graphic designer for other publishing house, because here I feel free to explore what I want to explore, and I'm very interested in the mind map. Most of my books as a publisher are based on the idea of the mind map, making connection between images together, working on archives, old archives or archives of artists, and start to mix images together to create new links. And from that, I'm trying to explore what's happening in the brain of the artist, what's happening in my brain, and when we start to discuss on this book with people, it could be on a book fair, it could be at a bookshop. There is a conversation starts, and that's the reason why some of my books are hard to sell, because you have to speak half an hour in order to get into it. But this is something, that I'm very concerned. And there is one of my favorite book, actually, is from Wolfgang Tillmans. It's a catalogue raisonné. It's one thing matters, everything matters, and it's basically fits on the cover. On the cover, you got the title. If one thing matters, everything matters. A statement. You got a door and the keys on the door. So you got the keys. And on the other side, you got a mind map with just writing still lives, landscapes, portraits, and making connections and drawings. And from that, say, oh, it's mic drop.
Mhm,
You know,
mhm.
and it's very the kind of relation that I want to make between the book and the people is trying to, okay, let's explore what's happening here in the work with the artist and of course with the audience.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think that the sentence of if one thing matter, everything matter. It's what I think every creative person should keep in mind, whether you are making a fanzine or something small, something big, something limited. I think it's the coherence and the generosity you are working towards. Someone you will maybe never meet, and someone that will maybe mail you if they get reached to your email, or the publisher saying, I've been touched, I don't know why, just like Aneta or the others shared. It's something that me as a bookshop is really, I'm on the front line of people, just like you said, asking me, I don't understand this book, but it touches me. And then I need to translate words, image, sometimes inks, sometimes shapes, sometimes smell, when the book smells a lot, into words, and just see the reaction in the eyes of the beholder. And this is gold. And this is one of one of the elements that makes me want to keep on attending book fairs, but also keep collecting books and showing books that are with complicated stories, and sometimes stories that are uncomfortable, and sometimes easy story. So the second question is really location based. We are in Arles, so we are looking at pictures day and night. We are looking at books day and night for those who are not drinking all the time. But it's in this creative process that is gathered behind closed doors sometimes, with à quatre mains, with multiple participants. There is something that is really important, is the dummy phase. The dummy phase, you can do it in your room, but you can also make it public. Semi-public means that at the rencontre, often you see at the corner of a street someone carrying a plastic protection. And in this plastic protection, there's this one edition of this dummy that is working, he or she is working. So I would like to ask either like Laure, that is an artist, or the others here, who are what kind of type of person you are. Are you the person that want to share what you are working on, or are you more like, I want to surprise the people and tease an audience, a supposed audience, until the book is done?
I'm most person I don't want to show. I was thinking about this, and actually the place where I'm working is also, I'm living in Berlin, and my studio place is also quite far away from the city, down into the forest. So I mean, I'm more working, hiding between curtain, but somebody I would like to show also, to have like some point of view, but then I need to choose and
The right
person
person
that I trust, and not to show it to too many people, just to be lost. And I think I'm quite quickly destabilized also with the point of view of somebody, so that's why I need to choose some person. But yeah, the moment of showing, it's not so easy.
Right. Do you get also overwhelmed when artists are showing you too many images, or too many shapes, or too many stories? Because the backbone of every work, there is a story, either whether it's conceptual, whether it's intimate or public, whether it's whatever. Do you get? Well, you don't have to be the only one answering, of course.
Of course I don't.
But being overwhelmed, of course, here in Arles, you've got like input all the time from exhibition, but also to people who are here for 3 days and they need to show their work. Otherwise, when they are they're getting back to Berlin or their city, they are all alone.
It's I think it's depend of the mood as well. Like sometimes someone want to, you have beginning of a conversation or a talk that help him or her to show you something, because you have the dummies on their bag, so you have a little talk and say, maybe I can show you something. So sometimes it's the moment, sometimes no, to accept and to see something. But and with it's for the when you are one more time in the art book fair or something like that, you are in front of people, so you can't say no all the time, but it's just a question of moments. But when you work with more intimacy with the artist as a designer, which is the other cap, sometimes it can be 3,000 of image without any words or without any clue of just a feeling of the project or just an obsession, but a lot of images and content that can be overwhelming, of course. And you have to restructure with him or restructure by yourself, because sometimes it's just do something with it. And this is a long process to cut it out and find a conceptual way of showing it and stuff. And so, yeah, sometimes it's a lot of emotion without any, with a structured work already. And sometimes it's just, 3,000 of images in front of your face, and you have to do something with it. And right. It's different kind of, yeah.
Okay. Maybe Aneta or Yann, because I have maybe like a B question for both of you. Okay, Yann?
Actually, I like to show the process. It's okay for me. There is few people that when I show them, it's very, very important. The first person is my wife, Delphine Mangeard from Librairie du Palais. I know not because she's my wife, because she's an expert and she got a very, very good eye and a very good feedback, and she could tell me the truth all the time. So that's the first person. When I'm not sure, I ask her for each step. And there is also Sergio Valenzuela Escobedo, which is a very, very good friend, very, very good eyes, very sharp. And both of them are the first person usually I show my work. And then I could show to the rest of the people when people are curious. For example, now at the bookshop, I got the dummy of my future book. If people want to see it, no problem. And because it's interesting, it's helping me to talk about it, to think about it, to explore, once again, the mind map, to explore, to structure. And it's always a discussion. So even if I know the work is not finished, I know that the work could move. So I'm not afraid. Even if the work is not done, and I'm not afraid, not to feel destabilized.
Yeah, we can say that.
Moved by that. So yeah, actually, I take that once again as curiosity by the people. And so I think being curious is a good thing.
Just jumping on curiosity, would you encourage people with dummy to show their dummy to either a graphic designer on the street or a bookshop in a city like Arles? I mean, you are the husband of a bookseller.
Yeah. That's a good question, because it depends. It depends really on your emotional state of mind. If you want to show your book, and when you're an artist, you are very, very touched. Of course, it's your work. So if a graphic designer or an artist show their book and they are fragile about this, it's okay. Take it easy. Don't show your book if you will be moved too much by that. So, but if you are okay to, actually, it depends. People show me some of their work, so I'm interesting to see and to talk about this. So it's always for me a nice moment. But no, it's very personal question. So I know I don't have one single answer.
All right. Maybe Aneta, you are working closely with stories that are really charged, whether it's historically or personally. How do you accept stories, or how do you react when someone is coming with their life on your table? Do you accept to see everything, or do you prefer to say, send me a PDF and let's talk about it by email?
On the contrary, I have to see the whole material also and to talk a lot about the story, their life, what's in their mind, on what's in their head. It is always not easy to go through. Some stories are quite difficult, like that one from Deceitful Reverence. It's about alcoholism, going out of a depression, and it has happy ending. But to know everything and to design well, I had to go deep inside his life.
All right.
And, yeah.
Right.
And I wanted also to tell about Ilias Georgiadis because it is also a very personal book. But he sent me about the dummies. He sent me like 10 dummies. And he said also, I know, Aneta, they are not good. And I saw like 2 or 3, and I said to him, okay, I have to put them away and to think about how to show your story. So, and I work alone for quite a long time, and then I sent him. He lived in Greece, so I sent him like a movie with the dummy little one that I constructed, and it was quiet for 3 or 4 days, nothing. I said, okay, probably he doesn't like it. So, but after this time, he said to me, I don't know how your brain works, but it is so good because I watched this thousands of times, and even my mother liked it. So.
Okay, if the mother likes it. we are a bit like all Mediterranean people. It's interesting, even though we are running behind a clock, but I would like to have another conversation topic raised. We've been talking about showing your work, not showing your work to the wrong person, being careful about when and how to speak about your images. We've been talking about the work, but as a new the new scenography of your work, if it's not on the walls of a gallery, I was wondering, how do you adapt the book format and elements such as paper, printing, and printing technology to the artist's statement and story? And are you thinking that of the audience while doing this? I mean, I'm against working for an audience. I think everyone should work on the story and with the best elements available. Who wants to start with, because it's a conversation, it's a topic that could be asked to someone who's doing a special edition, which is more haptic, to someone that is doing something more maybe conceptual. But so we have another entrance door. Who wants to start?
About the format and the construction. Actually, for example, for the book of Smith, Desidera Nuntia, I decided to not work on the size of the book, but as a size of the wall. This is something, because I graduated here from Marl in 2008, so I got this experience about hanging image on the wall and thinking on this scale. And for my first years after the school, I didn't know if I want to be into graphic design or in being a curator. I knew that I don't want to be a photographer. I was not good enough. So with this work, I took my experimentation old experimentation, my first one actually, and I imagine the size of the connection. As you can see here,
This one?
no, just the one before. On the right page, it's like a big wall with many images, and each you can find the size of the book. For example, on the top left, there is 2 pages, then 2 pages, then 2 pages, and you go down 2 pages, 2 pages, 2 pages, 2 pages, 2 pages, 2 pages. Each chapter got a different shape. One is very long, one is wide, etc. So, and when you turn the page, for example, the next one, like this, you can see some images are cropped. The images is not finished, it's somewhere else in the book because of that.
Is this a big influence between Wolfgang Tillmans again and your practice as a designer?
Yeah, probably. It's somewhere in my brain all the time, of course. So yeah, with this construction, the main influence for me choosing this construction is to create different patterns, to create different ways to enter in the work. With Sergio Valenzuela-Escobedo, this book is a special one, limited edition. You see, with pages from the printer, multiple les macules. I don't know the word in English for that. The work was based on a PhD that Sergio made here. And Sergio Valenzuela is a curator, mostly researcher and curator. So his own PhD was about also like a curation with large table with a lot of archives and images. So we decided to adapt the book as a Leporello because in a way, even if you can flip the pages normally, but if you want to, you can spread the book and it's being back into some monstration as a kind of exhibition, not really, but it could be. So yeah, this is the way that I try to adapt to get back to your question, to adapt the shape and the size of the book to create new connection between images and
that resonates with a lot of maybe people here that either are working on the table, either working on the wall. Here you've got the good example of how to translate a wall that flips down into the table and then flips over into a book. And of course, by doing this, either you're doing this without a structure or you applying a structure that will help the reader find back what he was wondering. Maybe someone else would like to share something?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Metropolia another time because it's also I have made then this book with Martin, the same that I spoke before. That's Rolled, and of course this one was really. It's a book about New York. It's not showing. It's not. How can I say that? The idea is more. The photography is more about like a large urban center, and the print, it's on the paper that seems like a newspaper. And I think it was also for me interesting to have a big one that is also looking like a newspaper that you have to open like this, and your body is completely involved in it. And it was for me also like referring to the newspaper in the city. And when we decided also to roll it, I used a Canva to roll it, a Canva for that's normally used to paint. So it was also for me when you storage the painting, you're also rolling them. They can be like exposed and like I don't know how you say tendu, like tense on the frame, but also rolled.
Stretch. That's okay.
And it's also a way to transport it, like with the binding. And we noticed when we made it that you had to have a particular way to open the pages because otherwise the edges were going under. So we assume also that we have to explain the way to open the book So it was like, okay, can we assume that or not? And I think it was interesting also to think about the gesture and the body, and to say, yeah, let's see, it's like a dance. You have to learn a little bit.
Yeah, I think. Can I interrupt?
Yeah, of course.
I think you just raised a point that is interesting. Is that the size of your publication? I'm using publication as a broad term. Is really important to the nature of the story. Something you get emotionally, you get physical. And when you get physical with the publication, either with some of the book of Laure-Anne, you have it in the palm of your hand, and you can read it in the bus or in your bed. With some other books, you actually need to share it. You need to share it with this moment with someone else, or with your own, but on a table. So it's always size matters, but size matters according to the story. And I think all the books that you have been producing here have a physical relationship, intimate relationship, or public relationship with the audience, with the people surrounding you. And this is, I think, something that I hope will raise a bit of questions about how are we sharing a publication, especially here, because you've got one table, but maybe you've got someone on your right, on your left, and on your right, and maybe you don't want to share this moment with them, but you have to at the moment.
For me, it is more. I can talk about Atacama, which I sent a video. It's a work of Maud Rémy-Lanvis that I work on since last year, and she went 3 times in the Atacama desert to. It was a big moment for her and for her life, and she had to make a break in this desert. With desert, it's a lot of images for unconscious for everyone, I think. And she was trying to have a relation, to make a relation between the rocks and the stars in this desert, which is a very good area to see the stars. And so she was in the middle of these 2 huge elements by herself, and she didn't know when she coming back and asked me to do a book. She just gave me some beautiful images, but she didn't know what to say about it. And so we tried to, but she could only talk to me about a feeling, but with few words, because it's not her thing. And so we tried with this book to work with transparency, with a lot of material, different material. We choose a cover that it's I think, more rough mineral paper that we can find. And during the journey of the artist, we tried with this transparency to tell her a state of mind and the relation that she have during this moments. And all the time I try to define a book when I start to work on as a territory. So it's a journey for the artist, it's a journey also for the audience. And the material is super interesting, it's so important for this. And we ask, at the end, we ask an author to write about what she was feeling, but we didn't say anything about why she was there. And so it was like a carte blanche for the author. And when the author finished the story and gave it to Maud without any clue about why she was there, it was exactly why she was there, like to connect with the loss that she had. So it was a connection between an author, an artist, me as a designer, to try to have some words and to try to
translate
something that is not so easy for her.
All right. So actually, in a nutshell, you don't have to know everything about your work. Sometimes the graphic designer or the publisher can help you putting words on image or words on thoughts. Maybe just to finish this question, Aneta, I think you've been designing, I don't have the images here, a big, heavy book that is sitting on the table. can you tell us why you made it so thick, black, like charcoal black, and is it important? Was it important to have something that was just opaque from the outside, and then inside is just a wind blowing all the time?
This is a book of Tomasz Tomaszewski, The World is Where You Stop, and it is a summary of his 50 years of work, photography work. And in the book, the world is presented in a not a very pleasant way. That's why it is dark from the beginning to the end. Also, the edges of the book, it's like black stone, like monument, you can say, and it is big but not heavy at the same time, because it is inside you have uncoated paper. So yeah, when you go through the images, there are 150 images, so there are quite a lot. And as I said, it is a summary of his work. So we wanted the book to be something.
Something no one can do something after.
Exactly.
All right. Okay.
Exactly. And by the end of the book, there are 2 essays that are also describing the world in not a very
easy or pleasant way.
Yes.
Right. Well, I invite you all to experience the book, all the books we've been talking here. If it's possible in one way or another, the book of... All right, then even the special edition are available. I think it's really important that we are not staying here with words and a few images. You really need to find those books. You don't have to buy those books, but I invite you to buy those books. But to experience them with all your senses. We are halfway to this talk. I hope no one is sleeping. There is one strange question, because it's not really something that is related to a shared experience, but still, I was wondering, how does your cultural background in your respective countries affect the relationship you have as a book designer with the artist? Because we kind of know that in some countries there is a really specific type of design that is linked to the culture. Do you think there is something applying to this with your own practice? I mean, the practice, not saying as an artist, but as a book designer working for someone else. Maybe.
I don't see any connection, so I'm sorry.
All right. No. I was just wondering. It was an open question. Maybe I was wrong.
Me too. I don't think the French culture is something that influenced me or inspired me so much. But maybe it's more about cultural, I don't know.
Background.
Okay. And what
studies.
Studies or curiosity that I can have for, I don't know, unconscious or experimental cinema or something like this that helped me a lot to structure the sequence or something like that. So it's more something that I like much more, the cultural French thing.
I was asking this, and I was actually waiting to have a backlash, and but what struck me from the 11 years as a bookseller, but also before as a geek in books, until recent time, I could see again and again that some publisher, you could see that those publishers were from France or from the US or from Singapore or from Asia. So that was the link were from the designer and the country and the cultural background. But we can maybe just dig this into the ground and forget about it, except if you have like a relevant answer to this.
No, it's. I think my culture with photography, is very influenced by my studies in photography. So definitely but for the graphic design, no, not really, except I could make some connection. For example, if I work just as graphic designer and not necessarily into books, because sometimes I work into identities or other stuff like that. I always try to find connection, make something creative, and for example, for a network, contemporary art network of north of France, using fonts created, for example, in Amiens, created the connection between the schools and what's happening in this part of France, of this area, and propose something in relation. It's something, that I could propose at least to my clients. But for the books, no, I don't think so. But for the culture, visual culture, especially in photography, definitely, I'm definitely a child of this school.
All right, child of the school, nice. Maybe I still had like a fifth question and a mystery sixth one, but maybe I want to hear from you, the audience. If you have any questions so far before maybe wrapping things up, or just waiting if someone has been like brainstorming. Yes, I'm looking at everyone now, but no, everyone is like digging their eyes on the ground. But I guess that there's no question. Maybe the fifth question was a bit answered about the amount of information you need to give to the people you are working with. I see that in Belgium, and not only in Belgium, there are artists who are not working as a one person, but often as a duo. So how much of information again do you need from the participant in of the artwork? Do you need everything, just like Aneta was saying, or do you prefer to have raw images without, or just with a brief sentence? So I'm asking more of the three of you. Do you have more of a raw relationship? You prefer to have a raw relationship to the image and then ask more question?
I think it depends if someone asks for the publisher or for the graphic design. If a project, it's like to say if we want to work with the project or not. It can be super raw images and few words about it. But if you want to begin to work for real, it's better to have everything and to be inspired by the whole project instead of just few images. But I think have it all and have the conversation with and talk deeply with the artist is the best, and build a team also, because sometimes there is an author, there is a publisher, there is a graphic designer and the artist. So sometimes there is not the full team that are involved in the process, but sometimes it's duo. The graphic designer and the artist work closely, and the publisher is just there to organize. But sometimes it's a real talk like here, and everybody's really involved in there. So I think it's better to have everything to find the best possibility and the best creation and the best design for it to be more relevant for me.
All right. Maybe just Yann, if you can have give us your feedback, because you still are like one part of Palais Books, and do you also work with all the information towards an audience, or do you prefer to have the information and then show it to your Delphine? I was about to say your wife, but she has a name, of course, and. How do you work on your own and then you work with her with all the information, or do you prefer to have like 89% done and then you are sharing this?
at first with the artists, I like to have the materials. I like to see. I like to have a lot of materials. For example, I made a dummy with a photographer, a photojournalist named Eric Bouvet. It was shortlisted at Luma in 2019. The book wasn't released, but I knew Eric for a long time. I like the guy. I don't really like, honestly, this is not my cup of tea. Photojournalism in general is not my thing. But he let me do something that I think it's very unique. He gave me all his archives, the wall stuff, and the wall stuff with the diapositive, contact sheets, boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes. So I lock myself with all these archive for 1 week. It was more than 50,000 images, material, not just on an hard drive, just physical images. And I choose only 100 of this. And I didn't choose any of his famous pictures because most of images were from war in Afghanistan, war in the world, basically. So his images was picked by the Paris Match and newspapers, etc. So I was not really interested into it. But in the middle of this, he made some crazy images, like 2 women just chatting in HLM neighborhood. And behind them in the 80s, a guy on a horse with a full armor, like a knight. It's just, what the fuck is that? And I also remember another image with a lot of Trabant, German car, left with many pastel colors, very nice, just left on each side of the road. People were living, I don't remember which countries, at one moment, also in the 80s, just people abandoned their car. And so a lot of images like this, like Madonna with a small trolley with a small dog inside of it. That crazy things. And trying to make new connections in this crazy world that he experienced, and proposing something that was not linear, not chronological, not based on the main event on the moment, and propose something, I think, unique, because no photographer proposed that. So I love to have the wall materials. It was very challenging, of course, and also very painful for me, because when you, especially with this material, you see a lot of death, a lot of ugly things. And it was printed in my brain very deeply. And so the book was dummy was shortlisted, but didn't win. And after that, I never seen the book again. I don't want to see the book again. I don't want to be published. I don't want. It was too much. So sometimes it was very interesting, and I think it could be a good book, but I can't work on it anymore. Okay. So yeah, and to finish to work with my relation with Delphine, at first I work fast because I need to find my path very quickly into the book, into the layout. So I could work very fast, and I could show a step, but actually I just start from a week or 2, maybe less, and I think, okay, now I can show you. But because I'm working fast, because I don't want to lose what I have here, and I need to be very focused, and usually after a week or 2 I show.
Okay. Thank you for all this insight. Maybe before asking another round of questions, if anyone want to ask something, I would like all of you maybe to give the audience an advice based on what we've been talking, what they should do, what they should continue doing, and then we'll get back to the questions. Maybe Aneta, you can start from left to right. Doesn't have to be long. I'm not.
What do you mean by what they should do?
What they should do after this long 1 hour talk about this topic, and if they have a project, if they are working on a project, if they are working on something they are scared of showing, whatever, book related.
Okay. First you have to find a person you would like to work with. So if anyone of us is somehow you feel that will be good for your work, so you can approach our table and to talk. But the most important thing is to be honest. To be honest with what you are saying, with your work, and not to to talk about it, like to talk about the work in a way that will be
to elaborate.
Maybe to elaborate, yes. Maybe to elaborate. Maybe to think a lot what we want to say about the work, your work. Why you want to like to make a book? What's the reason? And that these are the most important questions. If anyone would like to make a photo book.
All right.
I think I would say to find person who you trust and where you feel good to work with, and maybe also to think with all senses, not only the visual and the mind, but also the tactility and the sound and the hands. Yeah, how that a book is also all the time in your hands, and you feel it all the time without thinking about it, but you are all the time in contact with the materiality of the book. So maybe this also too. Yeah.
Right.
Don't forget the other sense.
For me, if you have a project and you are looking for a publisher, don't go too far into the layout. Don't close the doors. Because it happens sometimes, people show me their work. The work is good. The layout is good. What else I should do? Just print? Dealing with the shitty stuff like calling the printer, making a voice. I have to pay this and this. No, that's not the fun part of the process. Definitely not. So yeah, sometimes I see very, very good books, but it's way too advanced. So let the door open. Let the ideas of someone could breathe into your work, because I think depends of course of people, but when you make an editing, for example, in photography, I'm definitely sure that the photographer is not the best person to make the editing, because when you make a picture, the picture is like this. Okay, this is your frame, but the world is like this. So there is more, of course, than what we see in an image is always smaller than what happened in the world. And when you did the picture, you also smell, you also hear noise, you work with all your senses, and you could feel very, very attracted to an image because of the moment, because you met someone just before or just after, someone very nice, and this image for you got a very, very special feeling, a feeling that you not everyone could have. So Yeah, it's about letting connection makes between you, designer, publisher. So if you arrive with something almost done, to me personally, to me it's a no, even if it's a very very good work.
I guess all advices are really, really important today. Last but not least, if you want.
I agree with Yann, with the project that we can receive and it's already done, so you can't jump on it. But also maybe a little advice can be why do you want to do a book and why do you want your project not be on a wall or not be on your on a box at home, and why you want to, you have to open up a little bit and to work with someone else and not be too étriqué,
Narrow
in your project and in your mind, and that you don't want to share. So if it's a moment for you to do a book, you have to open up a little bit and to choose the good team, of course. And if we are plenty of publishers, there are plenty of books, and sometimes it's better to keep it in a PDF and not print it for some. So maybe it's a good reason to say like why I want to jump into a book. Sometimes it's not c'est pas une obligation. Quoi.
is not relevant.
Ouais, it's not relevant.
All right.
Sorry.
No, great. So far, I'm really, really glad this topic has been brought to light. I don't know if it was like obscure for some. I hope it was not too much. We still have a few minutes for question to this great and talented person that shared with us all the insight. Is there someone who wants the mic or who have a strong voice to speak from far? I guess no one will raise his hand. Oh yes? No, there was a feed. Okay. So I really, really, really want to thank you all for. It was amazing. And I think you really stepped out from some sort of comfort zone. And just thank you. Thank you for these people. And thank you for attending the talk.